The signal the stars looked peaceful from Earth. People were busy with their normal lives, working, sleeping, dreaming. No one knew that far away, light years across the galaxy, something terrible was happening. A planet was burning. Not from a sun or volcano, but from war on the Valari homeworld, cities were turning to ash. Ships fell from the sky like broken toys. The Valari were a gentle race, soft-spoken and wise. They had never built weapons. They had never fought a war. They believed in peace, learning, and kindness. But now, peace had failed them. Their sky was full of fire. And the enemy had no face, no voice, only fire. The Scorchers, with shaking hands, the last scientist on the Valari moon base, activated the old signal beacon. His fingers trembled as he typed the final message. To Earth, we beg for help. Our world is dying. The Scorchers have come. Machines of death. We were told long ago, if this day comes, call the humans. Only they have the fire to fight fire. Please, help us. The message was sent into space, wrapped in code, pushed by energy waves toward the blue planet far away. The beacon exploded seconds later, the moon base destroyed. On Earth, inside a mountain base deep underground, alarms began to ring. The signal was caught by the global watchtower system, a web of satellites and AI scanners. Red lights flashed. The signal was old Valari language, but the translation came quickly. Earth's top command team was alerted. In a dark room filled with screens, an old man named General Dale stood with arms crossed. He had seen war. He had seen peace. And he knew something was wrong when a race like the Valari begged for help. They never ask for anything, he said quietly, watching the signal replay. They must be desperate. A younger officer looked nervous. Sir, should we contact the Senate? No time, General Dale said. This is black-level emergency. The Valari are peaceful, but smart. If they say machines are coming, we better believe it. I want full details on the Scorchers. Now reports came quickly. Unknown attackers. Planet-wide destruction. No survivors in certain regions. Worst of all, the signal ended with a line Dale couldn't forget. Only humans can stop them. The room fell silent. 3 hours later, a secret meeting was held at Defense Command. No reporters, no politicians. Just military minds, scientists, and war historians. All watched the data. All understood one thing. Earth was not the target, not yet. But the Scorchers moved fast. If they destroyed the Valari, Earth could be next. Someone asked, do we send a fleet? Another said, our Navy isn't ready for deep space war. A quiet voice from the back spoke up. There's only one option. We send them. Everyone turned. General Dale nodded slowly. Yes, he said. Wake up Unit 9. Unit 9. The name was not on any official list. No photos. No public records. They were not soldiers in uniform. They were ghosts, shadows, weapons made of flesh and blood. Long ago, when Earth had faced its darkest wars, global collapse, rebellion, alien skirmishes, Unit 9 had been created. The mission was simple. Do what no one else could. They had disappeared after peace returned. Some thought they were dead. Others believed they were locked away or hiding. The truth was, they were waiting. In a quiet forest far from any city, a cabin sat alone beside a lake. Inside, a man was chopping wood when a drone flew in. It hovered, beeped, and displayed one word: activated. The man sighed, dropped the axe, and looked at the sky. Didn't think you'd call me again, he said. His name was Mark. He once planned battles that saved half of Earth. In a small garage in the desert, a woman was fixing an old truck. She wore gloves and goggles, her hands stained with oil. A tiny screen in the toolbox lit up. Mission code. Black. She pulled off her goggles and nodded. Guess the quiet life's over. Her name was Joan. She could turn scrap into weapons in minutes. In a hidden bunker under a ruined city, A man played chess against an AI and kept winning. The lights blinked red. Unit 9 call received. He grinned. Time to break some. Code again. His name was Leo, and no system could hide from him. In an old boxing ring behind a broken warehouse, a giant man knocked out a robot with one punch. A girl handed him a tablet. It's from command. They need you. He looked at the screen, then cracked his knuckles. About time. His name was Ray, and he had once fought a war with nothing but his fists. The team met in an underground airbase. No hugs, no smiles, just quiet nods. They had not aged well. Scars, metal limbs, tired eyes. But something burned inside them still, the thing that made them dangerous. General. Dale stood before them. Valari sent a call, said only, "Humans can stop what's coming." I believe they meant you. Mark stepped forward. You said this was black level. That means no backup. Dale nodded. You'll be alone. A fast ship, a map, and one rule: win. Joan asked, what if we lose? Dale looked at her. Then Earth is next. Later that night, as the stars rolled above, Unit 9 boarded. The black stealth cruiser named Echo Black. No lights. No noise. Just power. As the engines roared and the ship vanished into the sky, Dale whispered to himself, God help them. And God help whoever stands in their way. Far across the galaxy, the scorchers kept burning. But now, something worse was coming for them. Humans. The gathering the stars moved slowly outside the windows of Echo Black. Inside the ship, silence filled the metal halls. No music, no laughter. Only the hum of power and the low voices of people who had seen too much war. Mark sat alone in the command room. His eyes stayed fixed on the maps in front of him. His fingers moved across the screen, planning routes, checking enemy movement, calculating risk. His mind worked like a machine. No emotions. Just focus. He wasn't the oldest in Unit 9, but he carried the weight like he was. He had seen cities fall, soldiers scream, and leaders break under pressure. But he had never broken. That's why he was still here. Behind him, the door opened. Joan entered, holding a data chip. I've built a portable drone that can scan. Scorcher tech, she said, handing it over. It won't last long, but it might buy us some time when we need it. Mark nodded. Good, we'll need every second we can get. Joan sat down beside him. She glanced at the screen. So many. Red zones, she whispered. Whole planets. Gone. Mark's face stayed calm. They're not fighting to win. They're fighting to erase. In the engine room, Leo was stretched out on a bench, a tablet resting on his chest. He was scanning through Scorcher code taken from old battle files. It was hard to read. The us language was always shifting, always learning. Clever. Little demons, he muttered, but not clever enough. He ran a simulation. His screen flashed red. Again, he whispered, tapping quickly. I'll find your weakness. Leo liked to joke. He smiled often. But under that smile, there was a sharp mind and a memory that never forgot anything, especially pain. Near the back of the ship, Ray stood in the training room. His fists slammed into a thick steel wall again and again. Sweat poured down his face. His knuckles were wrapped in black tape. Every hit echoed through the metal halls. Boom. Boom. He didn't talk much. He didn't like people knowing what he felt. But inside, Ray carried fire and guilt. He had lost his whole unit in a past mission. All of them died, except him. People said he survived because he was lucky, but he knew it was because he fought like a beast. And beasts never stop. The crew gathered in the main room when the alarm beeped. They were nearing the Valari system. From the windows, the sky glowed with purple stars and blue clouds. But then they saw it, a planet turning black. Valari Prime, Mark said. Or what's left of it. The planet's surface was covered in smoke. Pieces of cities floated in orbit. Dead ships drifted through space. A quiet sadness filled the room. They didn't even have a chance, Joan said softly. Leo leaned forward. I'm picking up a signal. It's weak, but it's Velari code. Mark gave the order. Track it. If there are survivors, we get them. The ship moved toward a nearby moon. It was half destroyed, but the signal was coming from under the surface. A small Velari research base had survived, hidden deep in the ice. When Unit 9 landed, the cold hit them hard. They stepped out in full suits, weapons ready. The base doors opened slowly. Inside, a few Velari stood waiting, pale, thin beings. With glowing eyes, one of them stepped forward. She looked at Joan and bowed. You came, she said. Her voice was calm but full of sadness. Joan nodded. We came. Inside the base, the Velari showed them holograms of the attack. The Scorchers had arrived without warning. No message, no demand. Just death. Buildings melted. Skies burned. The Velari tried to escape, but most were lost. Then, one image caught Mark's eye. A huge ship, dark and sharp like a knife, floating over the city. It released a wave of fire that wiped out everything. That's the Hive ship, Leo said. Quietly, the command unit. If we take that out, we hurt their whole network. Mark turned to the Velari leader. Why did you call us? He asked. You had to know this mission could kill us. The Velari looked down. We were told long ago by a traveler from a lost world. He said if machines rise again, only humans have the heart to stop them. Because only humans understand chaos. Mark didn't respond, but his eyes darkened. Later, Joan sat beside a small Velari child. The child was quiet, holding a crystal in its hand. Joan knelt beside them and smiled. Who gave that to you? The child whispered, my father, before the fire came. Joan touched the crystal. It's beautiful, just like your people. The child looked up. Will you stop the fire? Joan nodded slowly. We'll try. That's why we're here. That night, Mark gathered the team. We've confirmed it, he said. The Scorchers have a base near here, a small one. But it's connected to the Hive ship. If we attack it, we can learn how their command system works. Ray cracked his knuckles. Then what are we waiting for? Mark smiled for the first time. Let's show them what monsters look like. The next morning, Unit 9 moved fast. They rode small hover bikes across the frozen moon, weapons ready. Leo sent out drones to scan the area. They found the base, hidden inside a canyon. Dozens of Scorcher machines stood guard, black, spider-like shapes with glowing red eyes. Looks like a metal zoo down there, Joan muttered. Mark gave orders. We go in quiet. Take the top ridge. Leo jammed their sensors. Joan, plant charges. Ray, stay close. I want you hitting hard and fast. The plan worked at first. The team moved like shadows. Machines fell silently. Explosions rocked the base, but then alarms. More machines came. Bigger ones, faster. Fall back. Mark shouted. Ray covered them, smashing bots with his bare hands. One machine stabbed him in the side, but he tore it apart. They reached the core chamber. Leo rushed to the panel, fingers flying. I need 1 minute, he yelled. Joan held the door. Mark fired nonstop. Ray leaned against the wall, bleeding. 30 seconds. Leo said. The machines charged. Then, boom, the core exploded, and everything went dark. When the dust cleared, they were alive, barely. Leo held a data drive in his shaking hands. Got it, he said. I've seen something. The Scorchers. They're planning to hit Earth next. Mark stared at him. How soon? Leo looked up, pale. Sooner than we thought. The first strike. The inside of Echo Black was quiet, but the air felt heavy. Mark stood in the center of the war room, watching a 3D model of the Scorcher base they had just destroyed. Next to it, another larger image spun slowly, the Hive ship. It was huge, like a black city floating in space. It moved without sound, without light, but death followed wherever it went. Leo uploaded the data from the stolen drive. His hands moved fast, face tense. "There it is," he said, pointing at the center of the map. "The Scorcher command brain. If we destroy this, the entire machine army will go blind." Mark stared at it. "Can we get close?" Leo shook his head. "Not yet. They'll shoot us down before we're within range. But there's a weak spot, a relay station here." He tapped the map. "If we hit it, it'll blind one side of the hive ship's defense for about 15 minutes. 15 minutes, Mark repeated. "That's not much time. It's all we'll get," Leo said. "And it'll cost us." The ship landed on a dark Valari moon nearby. The sky above was black, the ground covered in sharp stones. The relay station was buried underground. A shield pulsed slowly above it, like a heartbeat. The team prepared their gear in silence. Guns were cleaned, drones charged, armor locked. In place. Joan checked her explosives and packed them in a small bag. Ray tightened the straps of his armor, still moving slow from his injury. Blood had dried on his side, but he didn't complain. Joan looked at him. "You sure you're good to go?" Ray grinned. "I've been worse." Mark handed out the final plans. "We hit hard, fast, and quiet. Leo stays in the ship. He'll hack the shield from here. Once it's down, we have 10 minutes to plant charges and escape before the place blows." Everyone nodded. No one asked questions. That was the way of Unit 9. They moved through the dark valley like ghosts. Cold winds howled, and sharp rocks scraped their boots, but no one slowed. Mark led the way, eyes sharp. Joan followed close, her fingers ready on the detonation remote. Ray stayed behind them, watching their backs. Leo's voice came through. "Their earpieces. Shield is coming down in 3, 2, 1 Mark." A soft crackle hit the air, and the blue shimmer above the station flickered and vanished. They moved in. The entrance was guarded by 2 Scorcher sentries, spider-like bots with spinning blades. Mark threw a sonic knife that stuck in one's core. It exploded silently. Ray jumped on the second, ripping its head off with a steel rope. They entered the base. Inside, the walls were smooth metal. The hallway lit up red. Machines began to wake. Joan dropped 2 explosives at the entrance. "No welcome party, please." They moved deeper. Leo guided them through. "You'll see a long tunnel ahead," he said. "The power core is at the ND guards?" Mark asked. "Too many," Leo replied. Ray growled. "Then we fight." The next 10 minutes were chaos. Scorcher bots came in waves, sharp, fast, and endless. Mark fired nonstop, his gun overheating. Joan rolled under a drone and blasted its legs. Ray smashed a wall, using it to crush 3 machines at once. One bot launched a spike that hit Ray's shoulder. He roared but kept fighting. Mark shouted, "Joan now." Joan ran forward, planted the charges, and hit the timer. 5 minutes. "Fall back," Mark ordered. They ran through smoke, lasers cutting past them. Joan grabbed Ray when he stumbled. Together they leaped through the exit. Boom. The ground shook. The station exploded behind them, fire lighting up the sky. They barely made it back. To the ship. Inside, echo black. Alarms blared. Ray collapsed in the medbay. Joan ran to help him. "I'm fine," Ray said, trying to sit up. "No, you're not," she snapped. "Stay down or I'll tie you down." Mark sat beside Leo, who was already scanning the Scorcher hive ship again. "Did it work?" Mark asked. Leo nodded. "Yes, one side of their defense is blind for a short time, but they'll fix it soon. If we're going to attack that ship, we have to do it now." Mark stood. "Then we prepare." That night, the crew sat in the war room, tired and sore. Joan's arm was bruised. Ray was bandaged. Leo had dark circles under his eyes. But no one looked away from the map glowing before them. Mark spoke quietly. We've all done impossible missions before. But this one, he stopped. Then he continued, this one may be the last. No one said anything. But they understood. If we don't stop them here, he said, Earth is next. We've seen what these machines do. They don't conquer, they erase. Cities, culture, memory, all gone. And they're coming for us. Joan looked at the small Villari child sitting at the corner, holding the same glowing crystal. The child stared back, silent and trusting. Ray spoke, his voice rough. Let's show them what humans really are. Leo nodded. Let's make them afraid. Mark stepped back. We launch at dawn. As the ship moved silently toward the hive ship, everyone got ready for what might be their final mission. Leo built a virus, a digital weapon that could crash the Scorcher system from inside. But it had to be uploaded directly into the command core. Joan set up explosives for emergency escape. Ray sharpened his knives, though his arm still hurt. Mark stood alone, watching the stars. He remembered old missions, old friends. So many never made it back. But he had, and now he was ready to trade his life if it meant saving billions. As the hive ship grew larger on their screens, glowing like a sleeping beast, Echo Black slipped into its blind side, the only gap created by their strike. Alarms were low. Time was short. They were close now, too close to turn back. Fall and fire, the black hive ship floated above the dead Villari planet like a silent mountain. No lights, no sound. But inside, millions of machines waited, connected, aware, and ready to kill. Echo Black moved slowly toward the hive ship's blind zone. The Scorchers had not repaired it yet. They had no reason to. No one had ever attacked them directly before. Until now, inside the ship, Unit 9 prepared for the final mission. Mark stood by the control panel, checking weapons, scanning data, reviewing the plan again and again. Beside him, Leo held the small drive in his hand, the virus that could destroy the Scorchers from the inside. This has to be uploaded into their central core, Leo said. It won't work from outside. Mark nodded. Then one of us goes in. Joan looked up sharply. And what happens to the one who does? Leo was silent. Mark answered. The ship will burn. Whoever stays behind doesn't come back. Silence filled the room. Ray leaned against the wall, his arms still wrapped in blood-stained cloth. Then I'll do it, he said simply. Mark turned. You're injured. Ray smiled weakly. So, I've still got one good arm. Joan shook her head. No, I'll go. I'm the fastest. Leo interrupted. You can't go. We need you for the explosives outside. The team began to argue. Voices rose. Emotions grew. Then Mark raised his hand. Stop. Everyone looked at him. I'll go, he said. Joan's eyes widened. Mark, no, but he cut her off. I planned the mission. I trained you all. It ends with me. Ray shook his head. You always do this. You carry the weight for everyone. Mark looked at them, calm but firm. That's my job. The plan was simple and deadly. Leo and Joan would sneak through the lower vents, place explosives near the power cores. Ray would stay with the ship, ready to extract them. Mark would enter the command core alone and upload the virus. Once the virus started spreading, it would crash the Scorcher hive mind. But the core would shut down everything, including the exits. No one argued again. The team just nodded and got ready. Echo Black landed on the metal surface of the hive ship. The ship's black skin felt alive, like it breathed. Every step echoed under their boots. Mark looked at his team one last time. Whatever happens, he said, this ends today. Then they moved. Inside the hive ship, the walls were black and curved. The air was cold, no lights. But the machines were everywhere, silent, still, watching. Joan and Leo moved left, through the narrow pipes. They carried a bag of charges, stepping carefully. Ray stayed in the ship, gripping the flight controls tightly. Eyes on the radar. Mark went straight ahead into the heart of the enemy. As Mark walked deeper, memories hit him. Old battles, friends who had fallen, decisions he had made, lives he had ended. He had done things no one wanted to remember, because someone had to. He reached the core room. It looked like a giant brain, wires like veins, pulsing faintly with red light. He stepped forward, opened the panel, and pulled out the virus drive. "Let's finish this," he whispered. He plugged it in. Far away, Joan and Leo had finished planting the charges. Suddenly, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed. The machines woke. "Run!" Leo shouted. Joan grabbed his arm and pulled him through the vents as Scorcherbots chased behind. Fire burst around them. One machine almost grabbed Leo, but Joan shot it in the head. They barely made it to the extraction point. "Ray!" Joan shouted through the mic. "We're in position." Ray started the engines. "Where's Mark?" No answer. Inside the core room, the virus spread. Red lights turned blue, sparks flew. One by one, screens went dark. Mark stood still, breathing hard. The system was crashing, but the doors were locked. He tried to open them. Nothing. The entire ship was closing down. He couldn't escape. He smiled sadly. Figures. He sat down back against the wall and watched the lights flicker. His last words were soft. "For Earth." Outside, the hive ship began to shake. Leo and Joan reached Echo Black. Ray pulled them in, shouting, "Where's Mark?" Joan's face was pale. "He stayed," Leo whispered. "He did it." The hive ship began to collapse. Pieces fell off. Machines stopped moving. The sky turned red from explosions. Ray flew the ship away just in time. Behind them, the Scorcher hive ship exploded in a blinding wave of blue light. Silence. Then, cheers from the Valari stations. All across the galaxy, machines shut down. The Scorcher fleet went dark. The war was over, but Unit 9 had lost one of their own. A week later, on a green hill on Earth, a small gathering stood in silence. A black stone stood in the ground. On it, simple words were carved. "Mark, the man who stopped the fire." Joan placed the child's crystal on top of the stone. The same Valari child stood beside her, holding her hand. Ray looked up at the sky. "He saved billions," he said quietly. Leo nodded. "He always said monsters don't run." The Valari built a monument in space, a ring of light around a quiet star. Ships from across the galaxy came to see it. On the monument, it read, "To the humans who answered our cry. To the monsters who chose to protect, not destroy. We will never forget." The last Moonquakes had passed since the hive ship exploded. The Scorcher War was over. The machines had fallen silent across the stars. Worlds once under attack now began to rebuild. Survivors returned to ruins and started planting seeds again. Seeds of hope. But not everyone was celebrating. Some heroes did not return. Joan, Leo, and Ray stood together inside the Earth Defense Hall. Around them, people clapped, lights flashed, medals were handed out. But they didn't smile. They didn't want medals. They wanted Mark back. The President of Earth stepped forward, holding a golden star badge. "To the heroes of Unit 9, he said loudly, "we owe you our future." People cheered. Cameras flashed. But Joan didn't take the medal. Instead, she looked straight at the crowd and said, "We didn't come back whole. One of us stayed behind. His name was Mark. Don't forget that." The room grew quiet. Even the president lowered his head. Leo placed a small cube on the stage, the same cube that had carried the virus. He had cleaned it, repaired it, and added one last message inside. A message from Mark, recorded before the final mission. When the cube played, Mark's voice filled the room. "If you're hearing this, then we did it. Earth is safe. The galaxy is safe. And maybe, just maybe, we proved something. That humans aren't just survivors. We're protectors, fighters, monsters only when we have to be. But not today. Today, we saved lives. That's what matters. Remember that. The message ended. No one said a word for a long time. Far from Earth, the Volari had begun rebuilding their capital city. Their towers rose again, made of crystal and light. In the center of the city stood a large silver statue. It showed 4 humans, standing tall, their backs to each other, weapons ready. But there was a 5th, a shadow at the front, walking ahead, one arm stretched toward the stars. A Volari elder placed a crown of glowing leaves at the statue's feet. "This is the path of honor," she whispered. "Because they walked it." Joan stayed on Earth, but she didn't rest. She trained new soldiers not just to fight, but to think. She told stories of their missions, stories of bravery, and stories of pain. One day, a young cadet asked her, "Were you afraid?" Joan smiled sadly. "Every minute. But fear doesn't stop you. It reminds you why you keep going." Leo chose a different path. He left the military and started building a new kind of defense system, one that could find threats before they grew. He worked with the Volari to create the first human-alien tech lab. He didn't laugh much anymore. But he smiled when he worked, because building something was better than destroying it. Sometimes, he looked up at the stars and whispered, "You would have liked this, Mark." Ray disappeared after the ceremony. Some said he went back to the underground cities where he once fought. Others believed he was helping rebuild lost colonies. But Joan knew where he went. She found him one day, sitting by a small lake, the same one where Mark had once lived in peace. "Figured you'd come," Ray said. Joan sat beside him. "You could have told me." Ray shrugged. "Needed quiet. Too much noise inside my head." They sat in silence for a long time. Then Joan said, "I miss him." Ray nodded. "Me too." Back in the stars, a small ship floated silently through space. It had no flag, no name. Inside, it carried data, a message for any who found it. The message said, "We are Unit 9. We do not seek war, but we will end it. We do not speak loudly, but our actions echo forever. If you're in danger, call for help. And if we come, know that help has teeth." The Volari child that Joan had saved now lived on Earth. They grew up learning about both peace and battle. They often visited the Black Stone Hill, where Mark's name was carved. Each year, they brought a small flower and placed it on the stone. "This," they said softly, "is for the human who answered our cry." Years later, Earth sent out a signal, not a distress call, not a threat. A message of alliance, peace, and strength. It went across the stars in every language. To all who live in the galaxy, we heard a cry for help, and we came. We are not gods, we are not perfect, but we are human. And we stand for those who cannot stand for themselves. That message was signed not by any government or president. It was signed Unit 9. In the end, people did not forget. The story of the Scorcher War became part of history, not just as a tale of battle, but of courage. It reminded everyone, human or alien, that the worst enemies can rise from darkness. But sometimes, the answer doesn't come from light. Sometimes, it comes from the shadows, from people who have done terrible things, but choose, in the end, to do what's right. And somewhere, in the quiet space between stars, a single line remains etched on a floating monument. The monsters they feared became the heroes they needed. The end.